Hey everybody, this is Ron LeGrand here. I'm doing this Facebook Live stuff. My staff keeps insisting that I actually have a live conversation with you folks, so here we are. So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to be here answering your questions. I've got a few here that were submitted ahead of time. I'll take care of those, and then I'll take yours until we run out of questions or until we run out of a 30-minute window, one of the two. For those of you who don't know me, I've been buying and selling houses now here in Jacksonville, Florida, where I live, for about 35 years. We have taught hundreds of thousands of people to do the same all over North America, and without money and without credit, and helped a lot of folks build an awful lot of financial independence and wealth. And frankly, that's what we do here in Jacksonville. About 80 employees sitting here servicing our clients day in and day out, and a whole floor full of virtual assistants that call FSBO leads and do all the things for you that you would need done as a real estate investor. If you are one of my current clients, then you'll probably relate to the questions and answers today. If you're not, what the heck? Maybe you'll get enough out of it to figure out why you probably should take a little bit of time and investigate what we are doing, because look, if you're looking for more income, if you're looking for a way to get out of a job or a business, this is probably it, because real estate is really good now for our students. It's a good time to be in it. It's a good year to get started. It's the year of the Trumpster, and a lot of things are going to change this year, and maybe that might be your income as well. So if you don't know anything about me, might want to try ronlegrand.com is my main website, or Ron's Dollar Deal. If you want to get my wholesaling course, which is a $500 course for $1, go to ronsdollardeal.com. And my Gold Club is ronsgoldclub.com, which is a membership site with all kinds of training on it, and with all of our forms and agreements and a whole lot of other benefits as well. Very inexpensive. That one's only $59 a month. But look, if you want to know what we do, there's plenty of places to where you can get free information and decide whether you want to learn more or not. So Nick is going to be asking me questions today, right, Nick?
That's right.
Okay, well, show him what Nick looks like there, Rich. I mean, show him that pretty face right there. Let's see. So now you know who's asking the questions.
All right, so first we have a few questions that people have already submitted on the Ask Ron forum of their Gold Club membership site. We do this every single week for anybody who wants to submit questions. This week we're doing a special one just for Facebook Live, to where anybody can ask questions, even non-members. But if you'd like to ask questions in the future, you should go to ronsgoldclub.com and sign up.
Slow down a little bit. Take a breath. All right. And you can ask questions, anything you think I could be of value to you. Real estate, of course. How to stay married for 51 years. That's one we might have some questions on. Whatever you want.
All right. So our first question is from Crystal. Crystal didn't give her location here, but she said, it's been my goal all along to buy with the kids' CESAs, so that...
It's a CESA, which stands for Coverdell Educational Savings Account. All right?
So that the money would go back in. I have a couple of questions to make certain that as we continue to acquire homes, we can position ourselves so that it will work.
Okay.
If we purchase subject to, if equal parts of the deposit money, the $10 or whatever, comes from each of their accounts, does that secure things to purchase the property, as long as an LLC that we are not trustee for does the purchase?
All right. Look, if you don't understand that question, I can understand. I barely understand it myself, so I get it. So let me simplify this. First, a CESA is a account you can open for your child at any self-directed IRA company. We use questira.com, questira.com, and they must be under 18 for you to open them an IRA, a CESA. But the good thing is, when you open them a CESA, I don't know, put in $100 or whatever, and then if you use that CESA to do any kind of a real estate transaction with, all of the profit from the transaction goes into the CESA, and there sits the money to put your child, well, actually for any educational purpose your child needs it for, from birth to age 30. Includes travel, tuition, lodging, computers, everything educational can come out of that account. Now, of course, you're going to have to possess the ability to take a little bit of money for an earnest money deposit out of that CISA account and turn it into a $10, $15, $20,000 check, which is what we do in real estate, without the risk and without the financial investment or using your credit or any of those things. But once you learn that, then you literally have got the vehicle you need to fund your child's education without you writing a check, and it's tax-free. So her question is, she's concerned she's got several children, and she is correct in assuming that the contribution from each CISA has to be the same if the distribution of profits are going to be equal. In other words, one CISA can't put in $100 and another CISA put in $10, and they split the profits evenly. Have to be split based on the percentage of contribution. Now the good news is you won't need but a $100 deposit from each child's CISA to do any kind of real estate transaction that we're going to do. So the simplest thing to do is make sure the deposit is equal, and then the profits can be split as well. Now as far as your other question, I'm going to do something probably too complicated for most of our viewers, but I'm going to get up here on the board here, Rich, so follow me. And if you don't get this, I understand, don't worry about it. But if it were me, I'd have my child's CISAs. If you're going to do more than one deal, I'd have my child's CISAs form a corporation. And they really ought to be 50-50. Let's say you have 2 children. Let each of your child's CISAs own half of that LLC. Now you can form an LLC, just go on your state website and fill in the blanks and pay the fee, and you got an LLC. It should be done properly, but I'm not going to get into that explanation right now. But once your child's, once you have an LLC that your 2 children's CISAs own, that's the entity I'd then do the deal in. That's the entity I'd make the offer in. That's the entity I'd make the payments in. That's the entity I'd collect the rent in if there's any rent. And that way it automatically goes into your LLC, which is owned by the 2 children's CISAs, and then it can be distributed equally without having to worry about getting money from each child's CISA to make a payment and so forth and so on. I do an explanation of that on my Gold Club site. If you want to be a Gold Club member, if you are one, ronsgoldclub.com. And you'll see a training button up there, and it's got hundreds of hours worth of training. Just put in IRA. Just put in IRA in the search box, and it'll bring you a whole bunch of IRA lessons on that subject. And that's probably all we better do right now, since probably 90% of our watchers have no idea what I just said. All right.
Okay, next question is from Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, Greg.
Guys, tell us where you're from.
Yeah, Greg also did not give his location. If you ask a question on Facebook Live here, make sure you enter your location there.
Please.
All right, upfront costs. Hello, just getting started. Haven't done anything yet. This is still my first day. Wondering what normal and usual costs are associated with doing your first deal. That is VA costs, road signs, attorney fees.
All right, I can answer that. Kind of depends on what kind of deal you're going to do. For example, if you're going to make an offer on a bank-owned property at a discounted price, you're going to need a $1,000 deposit. That's probably not the way you'd want to start anyway. I teach people how to do the pretty house business. The pretty house business means we buy properties from sellers on terms, and most of those are with nothing down, so the capital requirement is minuscule. There's a little bit of operating costs, but not much. Honestly, you can run this entire business on less than $1,000 a month, and that's with the help of one of our virtual assistants. So very, very inexpensive to get started and operate this business. Unlike a lot, I happen to own a restaurant. In fact, I own 3 of them. It cost me $100,000 a month. I mean, I have to break even at $100,000 a month, so don't go buy a restaurant. Unlike real estate, I got almost no operating costs, and I can make way more money on one deal than I can make a whole year operating a restaurant. So don't you even think about asking me why I own a restaurant. All right, what's the next question?
The next question is about purchasing notes from Scott. He said, is it common for institutional lenders like Wells Fargo or Bank of America to sell their defaulted first or second mortgage notes to individual investors like myself? Or can I only buy defaulted paper from individual investors or smaller finance companies?
Well, is that picture right up there?
No,
it's like you're cutting our heads off here. Okay. All right, the answer is that you're going to have a miserable time buying notes from institutions. It's not that they don't sell them, it's just that they're probably not going to sell them to you. They sell them to large buyers. They sell them in bulk. They sell them to companies like Aquin Financial, who buys everything they have. And then they only have to deal with skilled entities. They're not even going to want to talk to you. Now, I'm not saying there's not a case where you could buy a note from a bank, but it'd probably be a small local bank, and there probably will need to be some kind of another relationship going there as well. Other than that, buying from banks on discounted paper is going to be very, very difficult. Your biggest market is from seller carryback notes, where you're dealing with them one-on-one.
All right. And the last Gold Club question we have this week is, who do we use for credit repair?
Well, that one's easy. ScreenTheTenant.com. ScreenTheTenant.com. That's Paul and Joanne Ritter, and they will charge $99 a month for 6 months, and I've seen them improve credit scores 70, 80 points within 6 months. And they're really, really very good people to deal with.
The promo code for that is Global Pub.
Global Pub?
Yeah, promo code.
Promo code is Global Pub.
All one word.
Okay, so type that in if that's for promo.
That gets you that.
Global Pub,
That's
P-U-B.
special.
All right.
All right.
Questions from
Okay.
outer space.
Let's see. We got a question from Jim Brothers here.
Jim?
Looks like he's from Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, Canada.
I'm seeing that I have to build a team. What is the best way to compensate them?
Well, Jim, that's too complicated for this. It depends on who's on the team and what they do. Obviously, your attorney's going to take care of their own compensation, so you don't need to worry about that. But if you're going to, like for example, if you're going to need a Pat Live, they'll answer inbound calls for you. They get about $150 a month. You're going to need our virtual assistant service. That's $105 for 5 hours of their service. And they get a whole bunch of other stuff with that. So you got to tell me who's on your team, and then I'll tell you what it should cost you. Your realtors are going to charge commission if you let them sell the houses like I do on the ones I rehab. That's pretty much set. You'll actually pay very, very little to people other than outsourced companies on your team.
All right. Joe Rodriguez, best list to market for motivated sellers, Houston, Texas.
We have a thing called a yellow letter. That's a handwritten yellow letter, or it appears to be, done by the yellowletterlady.com, Christy King. And we love out-of-town sellers. We hit that list frequently. And I also like expired listings. That list has to come from a realtor, but Christy King can still send out the mail pieces. And frankly, I've got a whole host of lists that we mail to when we decide to mail, but I can't think of any that I like better than out-of-town owners.
Okay, we've got Ed from New Jersey. When a tenant buyer exercises his option on a sandwich lease option, do you have the owner deed it directly to the tenant buyer, or must ownership pass through you first? On
a sandwich lease option, I have the seller deed it to the buyer, and I take my option fee on the closing statement as an option fee or as a consulting fee, never as a commission. It's not a commission if you're not a licensed real estate agent, but when you have the property under contract to buy, you have the right to sell that contract and get the difference between what you're paying the seller and what you're paying the buyer. But no, I do not take title first on sandwich lease options. However, I got to follow that up with saying almost never do I do a sandwich lease option, because I've discovered that the owner will sell it to you with owner financing, most likely if they will lease it to you with an option to buy. If I'm taking title with owner financing, then I don't have those issues, because I'm delivering title when my buyer actually does decide to cash out.
Okay, Ronnie from Maryland. Does the Gold Club have current video trainings? I know you do things differently than you used to, such as using attorney to close.
Oh, I've been using an attorney to close for 15 to 20 years, so I guess there was a time way back when I didn't. But of course the Gold Club has current training. We put it on there every week. It has some current training and it has some old training, because I'm old and I'm current. So we put it on there every week. In fact, every Friday we have an email that goes out to you on the Gold Club. And in there is some training usually. There's always a Q&A like I'm doing now. And then every once in a while I do an actual lesson, and we put them all up on the Gold Club site. And they're all under the training button. So yeah, there's a lot of very current training on there. Plus we put excerpts from some of our events where we have really good classes, and we post those as well.
All right, Jason Mitchell from New York City. What is your take on Facebook advertising for motivated seller and private money leads?
Facebook advertising for motivated sellers is a given. In fact, my students are doing that all over the country. I would not suggest you go on Facebook and advertise for private money because it probably violates the SEC rules. You cannot openly solicit for private money by Facebook or any other method unless you follow the rules from the 50C3, which you do not want to get involved with and we are not going to discuss today. But no, don't openly advertise for private money. That's not how you find it.
Okay. Is there a limit on how many years you can do a lease option? I heard more than 5 years becomes an issue. This is from Sanad.
Well, you're going to hear a lot, okay? You can do a lease option for as long as you want. I think what you've heard, what you're referring to is after several years, it might be considered an owner finance deal instead of a lease option. Honestly, it's probably irrelevant to you anyway, and it's almost never an issue. You might want to check with your CPA to see what he thinks on that subject, but I would do a lease option as long a term as you want, because even if they call it a seller financing deal, so what? You're going to get paid the same amount of money whether it's a lease option or whether it's seller financing. So I don't want to go into that any deeper right now, but I think you're worrying needlessly about the term on your lease option.
Okay, this question's from Greg.
Greg?
In pretty house business, do buyers routinely request to perform house inspections before putting down any deposits?
Can't ever remember having a terms buyer do a home inspection before they buy. I don't think I've ever had one. And if they did, I'm not aware of it. And not that it matters anyway, because whatever they find, I'm not changing the deal any. Remember though, in the pretty house business, the houses are pretty. They don't need a home inspection. It's gorgeous. There's people living in them. Everything is working. They don't need repairs. So make sure that we're clear on what our target is. Unlike the ugly house business, if I'm buying a house and paying cash for it, I'm always going to get a home inspection today to make sure I know what I'm getting into. But on the other hand, I've got to raise the cash to buy it or write the check. Either way, my risk is much, much higher. Pretty house business, I'm getting it for free or close to free. I don't order inspections on them. They're gorgeous when I find them. They're gorgeous when I sell them.
All right. This is a good question from Dwight. I received an escrow overage check on a property that I purchased subject to. Am I entitled to this check?
You are entitled to that check because when you took over the escrow account that came along with the property, you took over that escrow account, you're entitled to the proceeds. I'm surprised actually you received it because normally they'll send it to the seller. You didn't tell me whether they sent it to the seller in the seller's name or not. If they did, then it's up to you to get the seller to sign it. And obviously, if they choose not to, there's nothing you can do about it. And so if they sign it and they agree with it, it's your money. If they don't, it's their money.
We have a form on the Gold Club that assigns any overages to you. We
do have a form on the Gold Club that they sign when you buy the property from them that gives you permission to take that money and ask the lender to send it to you, but that does not mean the lender is going to cooperate just because that form says that the seller said they should. The lenders are going to do whatever they want to do. Generally, they send the money back to the seller in the seller's name.
All right. That's all the questions I see right now. Somebody had asked, actually, here's one. Actually, no. Some people have submitted some additional questions, but it only lets me see the last 4 questions. So if you submitted a question that is not answered, if you could type it in again, that would help us out, because I can't scroll past these 4 most recent questions.
All right. Do you have one up there now?
All right, here's one. Just curious, are you hiring an owner financing side of business? I'm local.
Am I hiring what?
I guess someone to help you find owner financing deals, I'm guessing? Someone that lives here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I'm always looking for people to bring me deals, if that's your question. Am I hiring? No. Am I paying? Yes. I'm not looking for an employee, but certainly wouldn't hurt you to contact me, because if you can bring me FSBO deals, I'll take them. If you can bring me ugly house deals, I'll take them. I'm a very active real estate buyer. Unlike what some people think. They think I just sit around and talk about stuff I did 10 years ago. I actually buy 2 to 4 houses per month and literally don't have 5 hours a month in my whole business. So yeah, I'm active. If you're local and you want to work with me on deals, I'm open.
Okay. Are you able to see any additional questions on there, Rich, that I don't see here? Or do you see Sanad's most recent comment?
No, that's good.
Okay. Here's another one from Russell Sealer. How do you find someone to look at properties when you purchase from out of country? So boots on the ground, I guess.
Yeah. You will need boots on the ground, Russell, so you might want to find out where you got the boots, and maybe that's where you want to probably look for the properties. However, you can get a realtor to provide the services for you no matter where you live. You'll probably have to pay them outside of the world of commission, but it ain't that big a deal for them to go look at properties for you. So if you don't know anybody there, that's the next place I would go. Somebody who understands the real estate business. You'll just have to work out with them how they want to get paid. Plus, if you want to make offers on the property, then somebody's got to do it. And if you want to sell the properties through an agent, then that agent can see how they're going to get compensated in addition to any money you might pay them for doing the legwork that might need to get done before you get to the point where they can get a commission.
All right, Dan Peterson. Ron, what can you do when a seller files bankruptcy after you purchase and install a buyer?
All right, if you purchase the property, that means the deed is transferred, Dan. If the deed is transferred, that seller no longer owns that property. Okay, the only way they file included in the bankruptcy is because their name is still on the mortgage, which is very common for them to do. Actually, you should do nothing except wait unless your tenant buyer wants to cash you out while that seller's bankruptcy is active. If they do, you can take that contract and you should get it to your attorney and let your attorney get it to the trustee and petition the trustee to release the property because your whole goal is to pay off that mortgage. Trustee would have no reason not to release this out of the bankruptcy if they can see that mortgage is getting paid off. That's their job, is to take care of the creditors, and that's exactly what you're doing. And if that is not the case, your tenant buyer does not want to cash out during the bankruptcy, just do nothing, because when the bankruptcy is over, the title will still be in your name.
All right, here's a question from Jason. Knowing that there's going to be a serious economic correction coming, would you be buying commercial properties as much as possible?
Well, Jason, I don't know anything about what's coming. It's all just guesswork, and of course, depends on who you listen to. But I'll buy any property anytime if the math makes sense. I'm not worried. I don't buy anything based on what might happen maybe. I buy it based on what I can see today, what the math is today, and I try to make sure that if the crap hits the fan like it did in 08, that I'm okay. I'll tell you what I did in 08 was I had a bunch of development properties, and they all went out because development money dried up. Today, I would probably work more on income-producing properties. That way, the income is there. Here's what happened in the last recession. The good news is the values went down, but the rents didn't. So as long as you got the income coming in, you can wait out any downturn. And another thing is, I strongly advise anybody listening to eliminate or reduce your risk. We don't guarantee debt. You go into a bank and apply for a loan and guarantee debt, you're a slave to the bank, you're putting yourself at risk, and your exit strategies are limited. And frankly, that's the biggest mistake I see our clients making is stay out of banks. Let me show you how to buy and sell houses without using banks. Let's do it the right way. Let's do it the low or no risk way, and then you won't worry about a downturn. You see, when you put yourself in a position to where you can't lose, it's hard to lose.
All right, Lionel asks, how do you work with a realtor while the MLS is already expensive?
How do I work with a realtor while the MLS is already expensive? Well, Lionel, you could tell me, am I buying, am I selling? Okay, if I'm buying, it's irrelevant. Seller pays a real estate commission, costs me nothing. If I'm selling, when I list it with a realtor, it's because I've rehabbed it and I'm selling it for cash and I've raised the price a little. I almost always raise the price for enough to cover the 6% commission anyway, so it doesn't bother me a bit. And even if I didn't do that, if the 6% commission is going to kill my deal, that simply means I paid too much. So it's my fault. But I can tell you, listing it with a realtor makes it a lot easier to sell houses, eliminates all the grief that comes along with selling to qualified buyers and getting them a loan and dealing with all that junk. In the pretty house business, when I'm selling with terms, we do it in-house. We don't need a realtor. But when I'm listing it for all cash sale, I always list it with a realtor. Happy to pay them their 6%. Remember, you don't have to pay them a dime until you get a big check.
All right, Dan says, I want to buy my ski resort from my childhood. From the newspaper, it says $350,000. No chalet due to fire in 2011. At what point do I ask for owner financing?
From the very beginning. And honestly, if you don't get owner financing, you probably don't want to buy the chalet because it's going to come with a lot of problems. Make it mainly negative cash flow since there's no income coming in from the sounds of it. And I don't know enough to advise you any further on that, but I can tell you right now, as far as I'm concerned, no owner financing, no deal, unless you really, really, really got a kick butt, deeply discounted, all cash price. And even then, you better know where's the money going to come from and how am I going to get it to producing income and how much that's going to take along the way, and don't underestimate all of those numbers. So I don't have enough math to intelligently answer your question, but owner financing that's my first offer, is owner financing, and maybe my only offer.
All right. Stephen asks, in today's hot seller's market, nobody seems to be offering terms because they don't need to. How does this work in a hot market? Stephen,
nothing could be further from the truth, sir. We have a whole floor of virtual assistants here in our building, and they call about 25,000 for us FSBOs for our students every single month. And for your information, sir, 31% of those people we get on a telephone say yes, they would be interested in talking about terms. You wouldn't know that if you didn't have our statistics. Now, that doesn't mean 31% of them are going to do terms, but 31% of them say yes, they want to discuss it, and out of that, there's a percentage of those that gladly do terms. You should come to one of our events, sir. Come to one of our events where we actually screen deals, and you'll see there's always people willing to take terms regardless of this hot market. Everywhere we go, we get killer deals by simply taking property information sheets that you guys bring in, calling them on the phone, and following the scripts that I've prepared, and getting the seller to make us an offer. We don't make offers, the sellers make us an offer. We ask questions. You will be shocked how many people will take terms if you actually get your head in the game and come let us show you how that happens. Believe me, there's a fortune out there right now, and the fact that it's a hot market just means that you have an easy time selling them, and you get to raise the price when you do, especially when you sell them on terms.
All right, Robin asks, hi Ron, my goal is to generate $5,000 a month in passive income in 10 years and retire at 58. I'm currently debt free. What would be a good way to reach that goal?
Robin, I don't know how to think that small, girl. $5,000 a month is not enough. My wife probably spends more than that on our dog. So we got to get our expectations a lot higher than that if you're going to come into my world. And there's all kinds of ways. I can tell you the thing that I'd probably guide you to the most is doing some terms deals that we call golden geese. And that means we get the house with little or nothing down, pretty beautiful homes in beautiful neighborhoods. We install tenant buyers in there, get big old non-refundable deposits from them, but we create big old monthly cash flows from the difference between what our tenants pay us and what our buyers pay, what we pay our sellers. And that monthly cash flow can easily outdistance your $5,000 a month with just a handful of deals. And what I like about that is that it's residual. See, they just keep on coming in without you having to do any work after you've done the original deal. If you'll take time to come enter Planet Ron, you'll see that $5,000 a month is, we're going to have to fix that, girl. We got to think a lot bigger than that.
All right, Ferris asks, hi Ron, do you have a course on apartment buildings and multifamily investing?
I do not. You probably want to go to my friend Lance Edwards. Look him up, you'll find him. Lance Edwards, he deals in that, apartments.
All right, Jason Mitchell, do you have a mastermind or coaching program? He's not even a plan, right?
You didn't plan him, right?
No.
I actually have several of them, but it depends on what your interests are. In fact, I'm meeting tomorrow with my group of real estate club leaders, real leaders as we call them, from around the country that run your local real estate associations. I have another group called the Platinum Inner Circle that helps people with build their information marketing businesses. That's most of the speakers you've heard of the people that are in the training industry. And then we have another group of people that are being mentored by my mentors, and we also do deals with them as well while they're learning the business after they've been trained by me at my Quick Start School. So we have several mastermind groups, and then there's always the mentoring program. If you really want to learn this business, we have folks that will literally work with you one-on-one and force you to go get deals and make money. Just get into our world, and you'll investigate, and you'll quickly see we have all kinds of resources for you.
All right, Myra asks, I have a potential deal with an out-of-state owner who doesn't have a key available for me to get into the property. Is it reasonable for them to send me a letter giving me permission to have a locksmith open the house and give me a key?
Yes.
Would that be enough to cover me if a neighbor calls the police?
Yes. That would be enough to cover you, yeah. Okay. Don't worry, they won't keep you in jail too long. It's not a big deal. Look, I'd probably get an email is all you need. And then what I'd do is I'd ask for their permission to go ahead and change the lock, which is just actually easier than calling a locksmith. You can probably do that yourself. All I gotta do is change the little doorknob for 20 bucks. And then send them a key. Just tell them I'll change the lock, and then if I don't want the house, I'll send you both keys. I'm sure they'd say yes, because now they'd have a key to get in.
All right, Ron, this is Richard. What do you do if the seller won't give a price and will only take offer from you? Thank you.
Okay, that's a good question, Richard. Well, what are you asking? Well, I don't know. Come make me an offer. Well, I will when you tell me what you're asking. Well, I'm not sure. Why don't you come out? Well, I'm not coming out till you tell me what you want. Well, I don't know. Well, how about $1? Oh, no, I didn't take no dollar. I want at least $150,000. Well, okay, should have said that 10 minutes ago. There is no way on this planet I'm going to go look at somebody's house when they won't even tell me what they're asking. Because what they're asking may make or break the entire deal, and I have no interest in trucking around looking at houses from people that I'm not going to buy them from. It's called pre-screening. If we don't get the right answers, we wait till we do, or we ignore them and go milk another cow. That's the answer. Deal with the people who want to deal with you and get rid of the rest at lightning speed. I even have a shirt to that effect.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. Looks like we've got another question or two maybe.
Got one more?
All right. Bronny says, when do you get the deed versus owner financing?
Well, when you own or finance, you get the deed. That means the seller deeds you the property and you give them back a mortgage or a deed of trust, normally. There is another thing called a land contract that's very popular in some form in every state, where the deed stays in the seller's name, but in reality, when you sign an agreement with them called a land contract, you still own the property, even if the deed stays in their name. So if you're buying with owner financing, you're either getting the deed or you're getting ownership, one of the two, but you own it the minute you leave the closing table. All right? Are we done? Okay. Listen, guys, we're going to do this more often if you tell us you want to. If we hear from you and you tell us that you would like us to continue this, I might do one of these a week, or however often I can get to it, but I want to hear from you. That's the whole purpose of this live stuff. This is called social media, so get social and respond and tell me if this is something you want me to continue to do, and give me your comments. Come on, I listen to your comments. I may not like them, but just consider me Fox News. I'll listen to them even if they're ugly, all right? So bring them forward, and we'll alert you when we're going to do this again, and thanks for watching.